Hey everybody, this is Tim. That is Tin as in needle in a haystack. Tim as in machete in a cornfield. I am America's first drag queen public intellectual, aka the Cornell motherfucking West of drag, and it is season 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race. I apologize for. I'm recording on my phone because I haven't used the video camera in a while, and I'm not sure where I stored it or how many memory cards I have, if any, and if the battery's charged. So I'm gonna be a little bit like low production value today, and I apologize. As most of you know, kind of dropped the ball about halfway through season 7, for which I apologize. This part of the year, from like January through like July, late July, really. So like half the year, has been getting more and more busy with my work, recruiting young people for the summer program that I run, and also like getting the program ready for them. And so I think between that and just like, after doing this for several seasons, like feeling less and less motivated, honestly, to record. Um, so yeah, I think a lot of us sort of lost our steam partway through season 7, to be honest, right? I didn't dislike season 7 as much as it seems like a lot of people did. I thought that it had some things in its favor, but there just wasn't that, like, I don't know, I wasn't feeling that urgency to carve what little time I have out of my free time to, I don't know, talk for 20 minutes about Ginger Minge gaslighting Pearl, or whatever the drama of the week was. So I don't know what's going to happen with this season yet. I know that right now everyone's feeling really excited, and so am I, so I wanted to chime in. But in terms of doing more videos, doing weekly, I don't know what I will have the capacity or the motivation for. Something that I may try to do finally, which I've wanted to do for several seasons, is to begin responding creatively to some of the episodes rather than just analytically, to make some kind of art in response. Because I think one of my frustrations for a while has been like, while I love having ideas and I love how receptive you all are to my ideas and talking about our ideas about the show, there's always this frustration that, like, how do I convert this audience that I hopefully still have some of for these videos into an audience for my own like work and creations, whether that's drag, performance, or whether that's writing, multimedia, any of the other stuff, that the other work that I like try to produce. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's gonna have to be the right confluence of inspiration and like the will to prioritize it, as well as just having capacity and time, not being burnt out from work. So we'll see how it goes. So season 8. I felt like I had to chime in on this episode because having a Chicago girl on the top and a Chicago girl on the bottom, it's like how can you not? How could I, being here in Chicago, not say something about this episode, right? The first thing I did after I watched it was like text a friend of mine, text my friend Jeremy, Jeremy Jezebel, and say, so was this episode like a referendum on Chicago drag? Yeah. So I guess my sort of question or thesis or argument or whatever for the week is like, you've got Kimchi winning, you've got Naysha being sent home. What does that polarization, whatever, what does that say, if anything, about what is currently valued in the art of drag, either like in Chicago or more broadly? Yes. So I'm going to start with a story that's going to seem like it has nothing to do with Drag Race, but it will circle back around, okay? And it'll make sense later. A few months ago, Jojo Baby, who is a legendary Chicago club kid, made this post on Facebook. Jojo hosts a weekly party called Queen, which is a like Chicago house head, club kid kind of industry night. So like, very club kid, whatever. But apparently this shall we say, more seasoned queen showed up and kind of just sort of like lost it, kind of went ape shit on this younger, more kind of quote unquote alternative queen who was one of the guest hosts for the evening, kind of telling her like what you do isn't valid drag. You shouldn't be getting paid for this, et cetera, et cetera. And they, I guess, eventually had to like ask her to leave or tell her not to come back to the event again. I don't know who any of the players were because Jojo was very, had practiced very good etiquette in not naming any names when he posted about it. But I think like a lot of people, my initial reaction was sort of like, are you serious? This person pulled that at Queen? Like this was a club kid night, like of all places. This is not like pageant land, right? But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, whether that's the right space for it or not, I think it's challenging. As drag evolves, what's kind of in fashion at a particular moment can also shift and evolve. And if there are queens who are really relying on that income, who are doing it professionally or as part of a career, as measly as that income can be, to have that like threatened, I think, that $50 a night or whatever their booking fee is, probably more than that, but less than a Drag Race girl, right? Like to have that, taken away, like has an impact on their life and means something. And so to get back to Naysha and Kimchi, when I started going out in Chicago a couple years ago, like 2012, 2012 was when I really started seriously going out. I've lived in Chicago since 2002, so obviously there was a lot of time before that when I had been out and turned 21 in 2003, 4, whatever. So I'd, been out, but in terms of like really going out and engaging with drag and like the nightlife community or whatever, 2012 was sort of my like start date. Naysha Lopez and that type, that was the mainstream of drag in Chicago. Folks like Naysha Lopez, Fifi O'Hara, old showgirl Fifi, not new cosplay Fifi. Jade Sotomayor, Dita Ritz. These are the folks that you all might know. That was the mainstream of Chicago drag, and there was sort of an underground freak contingent, but it was not, running the show. And what has happened since then, really in the last 3 or 4 years, is the rise of people like Kimchi Pearl, Trixie Mattel, before we lost some of them to other cities and to fame and fortune. This more sort of, I think, really high-end, high art approach to more avant-garde and underground styles has really transformed the scene here and kind of what is most valued. And the other styles are still here, I think, but in terms of, I guess, in terms of what's dominating and drawing attention, and I think drawing attention outside of Chicago nationally, not just here, right? Kimchi is really emblematic of that. I've been saying for years that I think Kimchi is like one of, if not the most talented, visionary visual artist in working in the art form of drag, like anywhere. Just amazing, right? So I don't know, but like, what's the impact of that on someone who is really well trained in the craft of this older style, if they're really reliant on that income? And I don't know, like, how does that fall along, class, race, etc. type lines? I don't think it necessarily does consistently. Like there's some level of diversity in all those aesthetics. I don't want to like draw a big line like people of color do this kind and others don't, because it's not like that. But I think there's questions, and so I think a lot of us, I think a lot of people have done like cultural analysis of drag, kind of talking about like the performance of drag and like what it says about identity and gender and race and class and all these things. What I don't think anyone has done that I think I would love to see is an analysis of more like the structural analysis of drag, right? More social science kind of. I'm not sure how much of that I got or lost in it stopped for a second. That there's I think there's a level of exploitation, and the real winners are bar owners who are bringing in huge amounts of income from selling their booze when people come in, and giving like a tiny, tiny, tiny part of that to queens, and kind of benefiting from the fact that queens are at each other's throats and competitive for those gigs, right? And I would love to see someone call that out. And maybe this seems like it has nothing to do with Drag Race, but the Naysha Kimchi split, and how that falls along some of the same lines that I see maybe being a source of tension in Chicago. Just made me think about it. And you guys always know I've always used topics from the show to riff on shit that may or may not even be about the week's challenge or whatever. So that's the main thing I wanted to talk about. In terms of this season, I'm really excited about this cast in general. In addition to Kimchi, I think the most exciting for me are these three wonderful freakazoid New York girls. I've been obsessed with Thorgy and Acid Betty both for years and years, kind of following them on the internet, and Acid Betty in particular before I thought I was interested in drag at all, when I was more interested in Club Kids. I thought she was super amazing. But what's interesting to me is, though, even though I both really appreciate what both of them do, I think the one that I'm most excited about at this particular moment, in terms of what interests me most now, I'm like the most excited about Bob the drag queen and what Bob can bring to this season, in terms of humor, but also a kind of like, I think, like subversive politics to that humor. I love that the work that he does. Like, I don't know if any of y'all have seen her Britney Spears "I'm a Slave for You" performance, which is very kind of like racially political, anti-racist political kind of humor, subversive humor, and just brilliant. And I think that that she does it in such a way where people don't realize how much they're being confronted, and then the rug the rug is sort of pulled out from under them. And she's just smart as fuck and awesome, and maybe the person I'm most excited about this season and rooting for. So if you've watched the last few seasons of my commentary, I've been wanting for a while to see a queen of color, and I think specifically an African American queen who is coming from more of a kind of underground aesthetic space, and is a little bit more sort of challenging and avant-garde in some way, because it does seem like they kind of racialize aesthetic conservatism of the pageant world in a way, and who's been cast in the past. And I feel like Bob fits that bill. Dax might also. She hasn't come out that strongly yet as a personality, so we'll see. But I just excited about Bob, and excited about what we will see this season. That was a lame ending, but I think that's all I have to say this week. So hopefully I will be back for more later this season, and not abandon you completely. And if you really are still with me with this shit, thank you, and I love you all. So, mwah.